This is a video about which races and which professions you can play in the new Soulbound Age of Sigmar role-playing game, which will be released in May, probably next week on the 4th of May. Hello, this is 60 Goblins and 1 Brush, your Warhammer Age of Sigmar channel with the latest news, with the probably final list of archetypes of the Soulbound Age of Sigmar role-playing game. Check out my previous video linked below of the Soulbound role-playing game. We have already tried out Cubicle 7 role-playing games and they're amazing. I'm not talking about software role-playing games, but about old-style pen and paper role-playing games. But nowadays you don't have to use pen and paper anymore. You can do it online, but that doesn't make it a software animated role-playing game. You still play one game master and one player, and you can use online platforms like Roll20, and everything is on there. You can download the rules as a PDF or you can buy the book. It will probably be released next week on the 4th of May. As soon as it's out, we're going to buy it, review it and test play it. We've already played The Lord of the Rings, The One Ring. It's called the role-playing game, which is very good. And the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game, which is amazing. It's totally insane and still very much playable. It's so much fun. It's unbelievable. I'm playing a witch hunter there, and I cannot describe how much fun it is to run around as a witch hunter in the old world, in the world that was. Now that we have so much fluff in Age of Sigmar, it is finally possible to have an Age of Sigmar role-playing game. Imagine all these different realms, different cities. You can play in a city of Sigmar, you can explore Stormvault, you can go to Shadespire, you can go to crazy realms like Gur and Shaiish and Haiish, battle the hordes of chaos and destruction and death. Because, as I've mentioned before, you can only play order characters. And so far, you can play all order characters or all order battle tome, all nations, except Seraphon and Lumineth. They will come later. Especially Lumineth. Seraphon is not sure yet. Initially there were some rumors about a skink star priest, but this will not happen right now. And you would think that the bread and butter of this game is the city of Sigmar's Freeguilders, but they're not. The most likely character you will play, and probably the most powerful, are Stormcast Eternals. And not just any Stormcast Eternals. Stormcast Eternals are anyway heroes that have been remade into half demigods, so to say, by the anvil of apotheosis. But in this role-playing game, in contrary to all other previous role-playing games I know, and I've tried out more than 20, you start off as a hero, not as a flunky who can get killed by a rat or a dog. You already start off as a quite powerful hero. There are many changes and deviances from normal role-playing games, and they all sound extremely promising. I think this game will be a lot of fun, and you can play it from home, even during crisis time, because to play Age of Sigmar strategy game from home via Skype is very difficult. But this game you can play from home with your friends. So I want to talk in this video, there will be more, about the archetypes. The archetypes are the professions and races you can choose, combined. Not every race can have every profession. You cannot have a Sylvaneth ether chemist, or a Daughters of Cain Knight Questor, or a Stormcast Eternal Black Ark Corsair. Of course, this is all nonsense. You cannot do this. So every battle tome has 2 or 3 professions. And it is possible to play Sylvaneth. This is one of the craziest things. These are not humanoids. These are half tree, half elf. And it is possible to play Daughters of Cain, which is totally crazy. Yeah? These girls are insane. You can play a hag priestess, which is, how to put this? They're clearly mental. But this is one of those things we love about Warhammer, right? So let's start with the Stormcast Eternals. You have 4 choices: the Knight Questor, the Knight Venator, the Knight Azyros, and the Knight Incantor. And remember, the Knight Venator and the Knight Azyros, they can fly. How cool is that? I don't think there's any fantasy role-playing game where you can play flying characters. Maybe one. But just a small flying tiny elf, not a huge flying fully armored knight. Then Cities of Sigmar. There were supposed to be free guild soldiers and sergeants, but they might come later. They're not there yet. You have 3 amazing options. One is a dark elf black arc corsair. It's really cool. The second is a free guild battle mage, with fire and brimstone. And the third is a devoted to Sigmar Excelsior war priest. I'm sure he also will be a bit crazy. Then to the dwarfs, you can play Fire Slayers and also Caradron Overlords. KO, you can play a Skyrigger, an Endrin Master, or an Ether Chemist. Sounds promising, but I'm not sure yet what an Endrin Master or a Skyrigger can do in a role-playing game because they're very specialized. Fire Slayers, you can play a Battlesmith, an Auric Runesmiter, and a Doomseeker. Very funny. Doomseeker is what was previously called a Slayer, like Gotrek. Then the Elves. Daughters of Cain, you can play a Hag Priestess or a Witch Elf. Idoneth Deepkin. Yes, you can play Idoneth Deepkin. Very much looking forward to that. You can play a Soul Scryer or a Tidecaster. Both are Isharan magicians, so no warriors so far. I guess the Thralls are not called Thralls for nothing, so it doesn't make sense to have them as heroes. Hill Riders would be cool though. Let's see what comes later. There's sure to be an expansion with more models later, and part of this expansion will be the Lumineth. The Lumineth will not be part of the first rulebook. And lastly, the Sylvaneth, half elf, half tree and plant. You can play a Tree Revenant Waypiper. Very, very nice. You can play a Sylvaneth Branch Witch, which is also insane. There's some insane characters in here. A Branch Witch, imagine. And, which is my favorite, I think I will start with that one. You can play a Kurnoth Hunter. I'm absolutely flabbergasted and full of enthusiasm about that. I guess the Sylvaneth will not be very easy to play in city environments. But in the wilderness, they rock. And the Waypiper, of course, he can wander the ways. He can probably change realm and space and place and so on. And by the way, the Idoneth Deepkin Soul Scryer, when he rises up to higher levels, he can actually rip the souls of enemies out of their bodies. There's much more funny stuff, and I'll keep you informed. I really recommend you to check out this possibility of the role-playing game. We'll keep you informed. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Hit the bell button and see you very soon. Feel free to leave your comments below. We read all of them and answer all of them.